Hello, welcome back. Today I'm going to make a lemon drizzle cake. It needs to have a delicate lemon flavour but be well risen and a really refreshing flavour. So, see what you think of this. Now, I've got the oven on to gas mark 5, which is 190 degrees Celsius or 170 if you've got a fan oven, or 375 if you're in Fahrenheit. And we need to get the tins ready, so I'm going to use a little bit of margarine around the sides just to make sure they don't stick, and then a blob in the centre, and you'll see why I've done that in a minute. So round the sides, blob in the middle, and then put in either a circle of Greaseproof or a circle of this non-stick magic stuff that you can wash and use again. And that's the tins ready, so the oven is on, the tins are done. The next thing to do really is get your lemons organised. And it needs 1 large lemon or 2 small ones, and you can see mine aren't very big, so I'm going to use 2 small ones. And we're going to grate the zest. I've got a zester, but for this, what that produces are great long strands, and you might find you have a mouthful of cake with no lemon zest in it. So it's actually better to use the little holes on your cheese grater. Not that pointy one, or the slicing one, or the cheddar one. It's one of those smaller ones, and you need just the zest of 1 large or 2 small lemons. And the zest is just the very, very yellow bit. If you go too far down, you'll get the white stuff, which doesn't taste nice. So it's really great turn. And at the end of this, you won't have a pile of zest. You'll have a little bit, but that's where all the flavour is. And it's not about how much you've got, it's about whether you've got the right layer. There we are, that's pretty good. I think I'm going to stop at that. And what I've got is not a whole lot of zest, but that's where the flavour is. And of course, most of it is stuck on the inside of the grater. There's a bit more there. You can use a brush to get that off if you want to. So that's our lemon zest. And we're going to use the juice later, so I mustn't throw those away. I'll hang on to this, and now I'm going to get on to mix the cake. Now, into my mixing bowl, I'm going to put 150 grams of soft margarine. You could use soft butter if you wanted to, but it's the lemon flavour that you want to be quite pronounced rather than the butter flavour. So I'm going to use margarine today. Let's get all that in there. And then to that, I'm going to add 150 grams of caster sugar. And they need to be mixed well with my trusty hand mixer. So here we go. Creaming, you can do it by hand if you want to, but it's quicker and much easier if you do it with a mixer. Now this is the stage that determines really the colour of the cake structure itself. So if you spend a little bit longer getting this very pale, you'll have a lovely, lovely pale cake. So I'm going to mix this a little bit more. Even though it is mixed in, I want to have a paler mixture than this. It's the air going in there that makes it pale. Right, there we are, that's lovely. Now the next thing are the eggs, and I'm going to use 3 eggs, and I'm going to add them 1 at a time, as I usually do, because I just like to make sure there's no shell each time and that they're okay. So sharp tap into a bowl, have a look, is it okay? Yeah, there's no shell, tip that one in. Now the second one. We're good with that one. And these are at room temperature, and that will help to avoid it curdling. If it curdles, it will look like scrambled egg. It doesn't hurt the mixture at all, it just doesn't look very nice. So room temperature is better. No shell in there, that one can go in. And mix again. Right, now, the next things to go in are our flour and our zest. So that can go in all at once. And start mixing slowly, otherwise you'll get a snowstorm in your face. In goes the zest. start gently. There we are, that's mixed. It's a good idea to go around the sides with something just to make sure that, like something like a spoon, just to make sure that you haven't got any grey clumps of flour around the edge. And then one last mix and we're done. Wipe that off on your beater blades. Quick mix. That's it, done. So, get rid of these. Okay, now I'm going to get this into the tin. So just get rid of some of these dishes. Bring the tins over, and we're going to put half into each one as best we can. We haven't got to be absolutely perfect. Again, go around the outside, and it's always a good idea to do it on a sort of one for you, one for me basis. So one into that one, one into this one. These are not very big sandwich tins that I've used, but you get a cake that rises really well, and because they've got straight sides, there won't be a point on the top. It's probably to do with physics, I don't really know, but if you have a straight-sided tin, you tend not to get a peak in the middle of your cake. Okay, now we're going to smooth that out with a knife and turn the tin as you go. One, and the rest of it will level itself in the oven. And they're going to go in and cook for about 25 minutes. They need to be well risen, golden brown, and not sizzling too much. You'll be able to hear me if they're sizzling. So there we are, that's all there is to it. We'll get those in the oven and set the timer. So they're going to go in on a shelf that's just above the centre. Don't let them touch each other or the sides. And they will take about 25 minutes. Now, while the cakes are cooking, we need to just make sure that we get our lemon juice sorted out. So cut our lemons in half and get as much juice out as you can. And then we'll just leave it in the bottom of the squeezer. And when the cakes are out of the oven, I'll quickly put some sugar with this juice, and then we pour that, or we spoon it over the top of the hot cakes. So if you've got a nice big lemon, you'll get lots of juice, and I'm hoping that with these two, they're not wonderful, but I'm hoping I'll get a good quantity of juice. And to this I will add 2 dessert spoons of caster sugar. Don't worry about that, because you're not going to be eating all of this cake. So I'll let that drip through and sit in the bottom until the cakes come out. Now these are looking good. Well risen, golden brown, and they've actually had nearer to 30 minutes, 29 to be precise. But if you can see the top, it's quite firm. They've started to shrink from the sides of the tin, which is always a good sign, and they're not sizzling very much. So the next thing to do is get the lemon juice on the top. Now I'm going to add 2 dessert spoons of caster sugar to my lemon juice and give it a quick stir. We don't want it to completely dissolve, that's why we do it at the last minute. And the other thing is to make some holes in the top of the cake. It's a bit drastic, but it helps the lemon juice to soak all the way through. So I've got my 2 dessert spoons of sugar, you can see it there. And I'm simply going to share that between the 2, drizzle it over the top, and it will run, and the sugar will create a slight sort of crystallised kind of coating on the top, but not too much. I think some lemon drizzle cakes are completely covered in a lemony crust, which I don't think is all that pleasant, but there we are. And these now have to really just sit here until they're cold. If you take them out too soon, you might find that the lemon runs off the top. It doesn't soak in quite as neatly. There we are. And that's it. So we'll just leave those to get absolutely cold and then get them out of the tin. Now I know that these are cold because when I use the back of my hand, which is very sensitive, there's absolutely no heat at all. If you use your palm, it gets used a lot, it's not very sensitive, so they're quite cold, and I'm going to go round the edge with a knife to free them from the tin. And then, because they've got bases that come out, I can push that up and put it onto the cooling rack. Same with that one. And then you need to get the base off. Take that out, and I'll do the other one in a minute. So I'm going to cut these into 6, so in half first with a big flat bladed knife rather than a serrated knife, and then approximately there. And that makes a nice sized piece. If you wanted to make them smaller, you could cut it into 8. And then to get it off the lining paper, you simply use the point of the knife and gauge where the paper is, and then just, there we are, just take it off like that, and that's ready to go in the tin. So the crust becomes a little more crispy as it sets and sort of dries out a little bit, but that's a really nice light cake, and you can see how pale it is inside because I creamed the margarine and the sugar really well. So there's our lovely light lemon drizzle cake. I hope you like this one. Have a go at it. Let me know how you get on. But don't forget to like, share and subscribe so you get to hear what comes next.